The entire AI laws and regulations are evolving because nobody knows which direction it will head. And I am not a lawyer. I am an accountant by qualification. So let me make it clear that despite that, I will still be able to answer this question because everything is evolving. A simple case point being, we are just seeing unleashing of the imaginative possibilities of AI and where all they can fit in. I meet almost 4 to 5 founders every week. The only difference in the last 1 year is I am now meeting more and more AI founders. And each one is working on a particular layer, which often makes me think, will this trample upon intellectual property? Will this trample upon somebody's data ownership and their sets of data? Are we leaving any doors and windows open that the AI crawler is crawling beyond what it is supposed to crawl? What are the kind of laws and regulations that it may be trampling in different countries, considering that AI currently is not bound by any country, and therefore laws are evolving? And will it one day take the position of everything that you mentioned with that earlier example of even a courtroom, where it might not be an AI defending, but an AI lawyer defending another AI, and another AI lawyer kind of being the public prosecutor against the criminal in question, and you have a judge taking use of AI to figure out whether that AI is right or wrong. I mean, we are fast moving in that direction. So, that's my limited reaction to it, that the fact that everything is evolving. So we are yet to reach the constitution there. So.
Okay, I understand being from the technology field, but given the fact that AI, there is a huge surge, like you are saying, in the AI-driven businesses. So how do we get to regulate what is happening in the business world?
Again, a fair question on whether you need to regulate first for an innovation that has a huge potential, so innovation is always like this, right? I mean, if I define and say this is the frame under which you should operate, you are somewhere stifling innovation. And if I say that put it in a flexible frame so that it keeps expanding and the law also keeps adapting, that's another way of looking at it. And then the third scenario is where you allow it to grow, explode, and then figure out which are the places I need to cut or regulate and so on, so that the misuse element is taken care of. That's the other way out. And to your question, if you look at India, initially started off on that mode, saying we need regulations, but then slowly there are adapted kind of responses that are coming from different ministries, including the Election Commission, including Ministry of Electronics and IT, where they are trying to say, okay, we may not trample upon everything, but okay, this thing is not allowed, but rest all is allowed, till I tell you what else is not allowed. And therefore, that's a kind of a safe approach which many countries have taken.
Okay, I'll come back to that in a moment. I would like to now engage with Dr. Narsappa. Dr. Narsappa, given your huge amount of work on data governance, judicial analytics with Daksh, and how you have been sort of, using or envisage the use of AI-driven decision-making, how do you think this particular aspect can be used to reduce pendency in the justice system and to increase judicial efficiency?
See that, I think it's a very, very large question. I think what you have posed. So judicial decision making itself, I don't think, at least we are not able to envision now that a human being is going to be replaced by AI anytime soon. So in the example that you gave, and I think Ramesh also carefully avoided saying AI also being a judge. I think he knows it's a controversial topic.
True.
So I don't think we are there because we don't know the possibilities, we don't know the problems. The few sensational cases are where lawyers have used AI and then got into trouble because they have not verified whether the cases that the AI is thrown up is actually real cases or not. So I think that is a long time away in my view, because I don't think we will be able to trust a non-human being to decide some kind of cases. I think that let's leave that aside for the moment. But talking about where we are in India, I think using technology to help us in our processes is something we can do quickly. For example, any lawyer who appears in any court in the country knows that a judge has an average of 50 to 60 cases listed before him every day. And everybody knows that those 50, 60 cases, all of them won't go on because it's humanly impossible to go through those 60 cases. Right? At least half of them will get adjourned. Out of the 50 or 60, only in about 10 of them there will be some action, some real action. Most others, will get adjourned. So we can use technology, not to the level of AI, but AI throws up new possibilities. For example, when to list cases. How many cases can a judge ideally take in a given day? And what is a mix of cases? For example, if there are 50 cases for evidence listed, it's not going to happen at all, right? But if it's about 20 of them are for simple issuing notice, etc., those kind of things, in terms of intelligent listing, is something technology should be used for, which there's been a lot of talk, but we have not used it until now. Because in our country, we have used technology only for reporting until now. Okay, what happens in the court, we are using it for reporting. We're using technology for reporting that. But we are not using it in judicial processes. And I feel that's where we can usefully benefit from some AI technologies, right?
So there are some countries which have been using AI to judge or pass some orders, maybe like China using it for motor accident claims or some, routine matters, or maybe in the US.
Yeah, so let me come to that. So I don't know about examples. I mean, I've also seen only reports. I haven't actually studied them. But for example, in insurance claims, right? If you see the motor vehicles, the accident claims, it's actually a very, in about 90% of the cases, it's a very scientific, it's almost gruesome if you're a lawyer. If you lose, one limb, this is the amount you get. If you lose this one, if you are a particular age, if you're a particular, if you're earning a particular income. So it's a mathematical amount that needs to be calculated, right? So in those kind of cases, to calculate the amount, and we have, an insurance expert, so he can comment on it. It's possible to depend on AI technologies to come up with the numbers, to be blessed finally by a judge, because you have to verify it, because there will be some quirk which AI technologies are not at a sophisticated level where they pick up all the quirks of each case yet, right? And this is the content problem that we are having, and Ramesh can talk about this. In terms of what is how many of the Indian cases are part of the large language models that are there? There are not too many. If you search, the examples that throw out are not from our country. So, for example, if let's take a court in Delhi that deals with motor vehicles accident claims. So if a particular case comes up and you're able to show that in the last 100 cases of that same particular claim, this is how you have decided. Then instead of taking 6 months, you can probably decide that case in 1 week. Okay, so that's a huge jump forward as far as we're concerned. So there are use cases that can be done. In Kerala, for example, now for 138 check bounce cases, there is a new pilot that has been announced where the court, you can file at any time of the day. It's a 24/7 court. It's yet to function fully. It's been launched. So there are examples, low hanging fruits that we can use AI to test, okay? But again, as in a way, Ramesh was saying that he's meeting so many AI founders. We need to experiment how each of these things will work. You can't wait for the ideal solution and say, okay, now let's use this. There has to be trial and error, okay? And for that to happen, I think we have a systemic problem. Okay, how is the judiciary and the country ready to experiment regularly using different technologies to see what kind of outcomes come out if we adapt
So
some of these
maybe for
technologies.
routine matters which are
We have
not
to
really
start- yes.
requiring so much of judicial input.
Yes, where there is a mathematical formula.
Absolutely.
And which is purely dependent on principle, and well, there's no judgment involved as such.
Yes, yes.
I think we can benefit from it. So,
Correct.
two clear, in my mind, I think there are two clear uses that we can use. One is for judicial processes. That is, how do we list our cases? How do we help our judges how do we help our judges decide better? I think that's the first point. Not in terms of substantive law, but in terms of process.
Efficiency.
How can they manage their day better? That's one. Two, in terms of where there is where the compensation is only a mathematical calculation and not a judgment. Why can't we use this kind of technology? And there are enough examples to use it. So that's one way of looking at it from a positive perspective rather than complaining about, the law is not ready to regulate. Law is always a laggard, right? Law doesn't foresee technology ever. It has to react, and that's how it should be.
Well, technology is running, and I think some kind of regulation needs to keep pace with it. But I'll move on to
The law can never run as fast as innovation.
technology. Yes, yes. So, right. So, Mr. Abhinav Narayan, I was extremely interested in, how does HDFC Ergo Insurance ensure that AI-based risk assessment models are complying with the principles of fairness and of legality under the law as we demand, or your regulatory authority guidelines like the IRDAI. So how does that happen?
See, basically, from my point of view, artificial intelligence is like a catalyst. Like in chemistry, if we go through it, the role of catalyst is to ignite or suppress when it is needed for a chemical reaction. So if artificial intelligence, if we can use in a surplus manner or in that particular manner, then definitely it will enhance the significance of that particular manner. And also we are talking about how the efficiency could be provided to that particular role. But you are talking about the insurance industry, not for only SDFC Ergo, for the whole general insurance industry. And I am looking over the claim management system, legally management system. And if you will go into that particular thing, then definitely artificial intelligence had a wide aspects. So I will tell you from an example basically. A claim came that an FIR registered in 2019 and we got a claim in 2023. There is a gap of 4 years. In that particular 4 years, if we go through the investigation of that case, then definitely we could not get the whole sum of the investigation, and the investigation report will come in a particular direction manner. But through this particular AI-driven technologies, when the case is reported in the system, and that case is of 2019, 2020, but if we got the case in 2025, there is a difference of 5 years. But we got to know, yes, that vehicle is registered in 2019 case also. So this is the very interesting aspect. This also helps in fraud detection. If we go through the motor, you talked about the motor claim management system, motor accident cases. China is using this technology. We are not completely using this technology so far, but we are on it. We are using the technology a little bit, but definitely in a coming days, if we can rely upon this technology, then it will enhance the claim management system also. It will enhance the insurance industry also. And it will definitely enhance the whole insurance industry sector.
Right. Actually, my concern is about what we see in the AI systems having a prejudice because of the algorithmic biases which are inherent in these systems. So how do we ensure that this kind of, bias is not creeping in and there is a fair outcome of the use of such a AI system?
See, fairness is totally depend upon the scenario. Sometimes when that particular way, we are dealing in a particular way, then definitely if a case, we have to take care of individual single cases. For my point of view and what I have seen throughout the year, like if a particular scenario is on the way and we are dealing in such a way, then fairness should be the main aspect, and fairness will be totally depend upon the different scenario. First of all, the insurer, and the second one is the insurance industry which are taken place of it. So fairness, and if AI driven technologies is definitely what we feed in that particular scenario, then we will lead to such a situation where the AI driven technology based on the different aspect, the fairness one, and the second one is like how we dealt and how we speed up that, gear up the scenario where definitely we can come up with the scenario. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we all worry that AI someday is going to replace us human beings. But I think as lawyers, we should not worry because AI at the moment cannot replace lawyers as long as we are winning our cases. But anyway, Mr. Kailasam, I want to also understand that how do organizations like IndiaTech.org, what kind of a role do you see such industries or technology firms playing in the development of AI policy and governance in the future?
See, if you look at the entire evolution of AI that's happening around the world, it depends on which aspect of AI are we holding on to. On one side, there is the hardware GPU speed story, and Government of India is now trying to bring down the price. Typically, GPU speed, people spend anywhere between $4 per hour to anywhere between 70 cents an hour, depending on what you are. So there is a whole world working towards saying, do we bring down the cost? Is it our telecom moment or 2G or internet access moment that more and more innovators from India can consume and use this at a lower price to create products that can take on the world and so on. So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is, are we even creating the likes of ChatGPT or DeepSeek kind of a model, or are we becoming users of it? Like how conventionally we have been in technology users, where we have used the building blocks and we have built application layers over it, and not basically we never created a database, we never created a middleware, we never created any of those. So that's the other aspect of it. And then of course, there is another aspect of it where people are quickly trying to see. So if you look at the journey that we have made as industry, as India, the first people who jumped onto the citizen bandwagon or consumer bandwagon was the government, not the business. So when the entire country was automating government service to citizens, and that came through single window first, and now you have it in your mobile. And I had written about it way back in 2004 that the whole country will move into mobile for government services in another 10 years' time. We are seeing that happen. You're getting government services on mobile. The industry that time was busy automating its back-end through ERP systems, putting in place their financial service systems, their purchase, procurement, and all HR and so on. And of course, now they jumped onto the bandwagon to say, I can sell directly to the citizens. So you saw the consumer internet companies in India evolving, right from your travel tech to food delivery tech to mobility tech and so on. So you have a range of startups who are already giving you that service. And then it further moved on to deep tech, and now we are seeing AI being used. where there is an attempt to figure out which are the layers of services that you need, and it comes from 2 points. One is, as was already mentioned earlier, you have a lot of places where it is humanly impossible to clear caseloads. Take the case I was last week sitting, figuring out how much of caseloads that is sitting in the income tax department can just be cleared quickly, where you don't need too much of decision making. There are 9 steps which can be done by a machine. If you have something like 45 or 4.5 crore case kind of loads lying, can an AI quickly sieve through that and make it easy so that the decision making can be done possibly quickly? And you have the second scenario where you are also figuring out, do I need even a secretary? I can just tell that just fix my appointment, talk to this, and you may soon see a scenario where your secretary, AI secretary, will be talking to somebody else's AI secretary, and it's a matter of months where you will see those products in the market. I've already seen them. And you may also have scenarios where people are now, there are legal firms which are working globally now, trying to say that your AI avatar which is getting created in a movie, how long do you want to maintain at what age? And what if after your death somebody abuses that character and gives a wrong character which was otherwise different from the character you lived in or the kind of movie roles you did? So AI avatar rights matter kind of legal practice is being built globally around the world. And apart from that, of course, today morning I was seeing a particular kind of a documentary where it was saying there are people now creating AI employees. So for example, if you need an accountant, an HR and a payroll, I might say, hey, I have a set of AI employees who can do that for you. And what happens if that AI employees are replaced by another superior AI employees from somewhere else? Will they have labor rights? Right across the road, we have the Sham Shakti Bhavan. So they'll be debating in years' time saying, okay, do we create a policy of social security for AI employees? Those are the kind of debates that are happening globally, even in the workplace. And more importantly, there are other important things like we have, last week I met an AI which is working in the healthcare space, which enables you and empowers you. It is not an AI doctor, but it does everything that is required to reach a doctor. And you have Jawan standing in the borders, getting bitten by an insect. You have some skin bite. How will that person know whether I have to need to consult a doctor or not? You can just scan it, the AI doctor takes over, it gives the entire analysis. There is a lot of talk that happens between you and it, asking for where it is paining and so on. And finally, it deduces and tells you what kind of person you should meet. So you have a lot of layers now getting taken over. Two simple things like wedding destination photographers now saying nobody's going to wedding destinations. They are taking photos in a green room and then the AI takes over and you have a Greece wedding done. So they are going out of business. So very soon you will find many such things coming. To your point, whether lawyers will get replaced or not, it is a matter of time how we allow it and where we allow it. So don't think that you are like safe. Nobody is safe when AI is around. You had Stephen Hawking saying the development of full artificial intelligence could end human race in 2014. And you had Elon Musk telling you are summoning the demon. For the first time, you have two technologies contradicting a technology. So we are in for a lot of unimaginative possibilities. And as industry, we're working on the positive side of it, on where things can enable and make things more efficient and faster. But yes, the possibilities are immense.
Well, sir, you've definitely shared a picture which interests us, puts us on our guard, but also raises a legal issue. Whether, I would like to ask the audience, by a show of hands, do you think the artificial intelligence should be given some kind of rights? What do you think? Should they be given rights? Should they be held to be legally accountable in some manner? Is that a yes? I think let's get the lawyer in here. Dr. Narsappa, what do you think?
I was wondering whether he's repeating his answer from an AI tool, whether he checked it or not. Anyway.
Live video.
Okay. No. So, yeah. No. See, liability, I think, is one thing that law has been able to more or less fix over time, right? I mean, when companies, for example, were set up, I mean, the whole point was how do you fix a liability on a company, and civil liability, criminal liability, all of that. And I'm sure we will find an answer. I think that's an easy answer as far as fixing liability is concerned. Whoever owns the particular tool that you are using, I think that's the default rule of liability that the law uses. Now, as far as civil and monetary liability is concerned, but criminal liability, you can't punish a non-human being. I mean, we have not done it so far.
I was reading somewhere that the punishment for an AI system could be that of
You
death,
shut down the
that you
system.
completely deactivate it.
Yes,
It's like
that's one thing. But the other interesting question is, see, unlike companies, AI, the content or the output that you are getting from tools may not be owned by that particular tool, because the whole ChatGPT, for example, if you ask a question, the answer you get is not ChatGPT's. I mean, it is trawling the web across the world and pulling out information. So then you have this chain of causation, which all lawyers are familiar. Then how long will you draw that link, and that causal link becomes interesting. So you go back to contract and torts and criminal law and learn the chain of causation. So we have to figure that out, right?
So do you think India needs a specific law, like European Union has the AI Act and the US is coming out with the US Bill of Rights on AI?
Yeah.
What do you think what is the best course for India?
In terms of usage, we are not too far down the line, right? I mean, in terms of you can identify what we are using for and what we are not using for, etc. And to that extent, I agree with Ramesh that if we go for a law today and try to fix liability, we don't know what we are getting and what we are not getting. So we need to wait for a little bit, I feel. What we can do is strengthen our existing laws that deal with liability and expand it a little bit to also include non-human actors. Okay, but I don't think we should go for an a unified AI law that the EU has experimented with, because the use cases are not very clear yet in India. Okay, it's more.
But I think the issues would be the same everywhere.
Issues would be the same, but what kind of issues may not be the same also, because the use cases the same technology may have in India may be completely different from the use cases that the US has. For example, right? I mean, and China. I mean, we are talking about delivery of food by drones in China. Ramesh and I were discussing just before this session how we are still trying to figure out how do we compensate our gig workers, right, who are doing the food delivery. So do we really need drone food delivery? We don't. I mean, because, where will all the people who are doing food delivery go? Right? So there are many other issues. So the use cases may not be identical. The technology may be identical, but the use cases may be different in our country. So before we jump the gun and borrow laws from somewhere else, I think we have to think a bit. I think our existing causation laws are reasonably strong, in my view, to identify liability in cases where they arise at the moment, when the usage is not very widespread. But the point that I want to make is, I think we should not, the usage, I mean, even in terms of lawyers, right? The usage of technology and how technology can replace lawyers has been going around for 40 years now. Particularly, everybody scares law students in their final year, you won't have a job when you come out, right? That's been happening for 30, 40 years. Even the most well-funded AI tool in the legal space is only working on summarizing legal documents, discovery of legal documents, and summarizing case law at the moment. I'm not saying it may not change, I mean, because ChatGPT was a big shock to the AI world. I mean, nobody knew it was coming. So something may happen, I'm not saying that, but currently what you are doing is all the tools that I see in the legal space are tools that can help the efficiency of lawyers and the legal system rather than replace.
So that brings me to a question which I think all of you can have dig at. That should given that it is what you are saying, that it is encroaching upon the legal field, AI, should Bar Council or legal education institutes start, disseminating some kind of legal tech training for our future lawyers, and also, train them on ethics of how to use?
Ethics certainly, because if you look at it, when I was studying law, I think email was an unheard of thing, right? So nobody taught us how to use email. We figured it out. Nobody taught us how to use WhatsApp. We figured it out. And the lawyers, from the 70s and 80s tell us how we are so lucky that we don't have to worry about a draft going wrong. All we have to go back is amend the Word document and print the draft. Whereas they had to retype the entire page or sometimes 10 pages because they used to do it on a typewriter. And if you talk to an even older lawyer, they say we had to rewrite the entire petition. So I think, so the usages in terms of daily usage, how to learn to use the AI to help us, I think that we'll figure it out, because technology is making things simple and the next generation will figure that out. But the larger question is one of liability, is one of fixing responsibility. If the AI technology starts doing tasks that are currently the subject matter of liability if things go wrong, I think that is where we need to look at. And then there's the issue of privacy. Because information
That's the case
is not
going
there.
on in the Delhi High Court.
Privacy is there. Then, copyright is one big
Copyright.
issue. Information, who owns information is a big question. Then we can go back to discussing the ethics of copyright in the first place, right? Should a publisher have copyright over a book for so many years? So some of these questions.
No, but the question in the copyright issue is that who is the author of the creation?
Yes.
So that is not an answer we have at the moment.
We don't. So I think these questions, and this was a question, if you go back to when copyright legislations were enacted, these questions were discussed, these issues were discussed. And how long should the author wait?
So we will move along.
Yes. So I think we will figure something out. But I am not in favor of passing a unified, all-encompassing AI liability law immediately, because we don't know what it's likely to do. I think we should look at strengthening our causation law and liabilities law.
Let's do what our forefathers did when they were drafting the constitution. They had to look at all the constitutions and then also learn from the mistakes and.
No, I think that's correct, and we need to see what use cases we'll develop in this country, and also see, the way certain kinds of laws and the how common law has developed and how causation law has developed. I don't think it is so weak that it can't be stretched to include certain non-human actors, and companies are a big example, right? We have by legal fiction we have given them a personality in law and then fix liability on that basis. So similarly, we will evolve some tools until a law is developed. So I'm not so worried about fixing liability immediately, at least in this country.
So I think, Mr. Abhinav, you can also enlighten us on whether in the insurance sector, do we have some AI systems and are they successful? How is it playing out?
Like in insurance sector, you talked about any tools regarding artificial intelligence. I must focus upon one case, especially regarding to the forensic reconstruction report. When a motor accident case came to us, then we got investigation of that particular case. We verified all the things, and to the whole narration of the accident, we got the accident reconstruction report from the forensic team, and that forensic team was totally relied upon the artificial intelligence technique, and they hold the scenario of the reconstruction of the accident, and we got to know, yes, this is the procedure what followed. And regarding not only in insurance sector, if you will go when an FIR has been registered regarding the accident claim, and that particular accident in today's time, the CCTNS app has been developed in all the police stations. Like you can fetch and access all the FIR's data sitting at home. That is really vamping the technologies, not only the insurance industry, in the police sector, in the investigation sector, and in the whole bureaucratic system. So it will definitely enhance whole the process, and definitely it would lead to the better destination what we think earlier. Like previously what happened, our insurance sectors or insurance industries is not aware about what is happening regarding the motor accident, regarding the fire industry insurance, regarding the own damage claims of the vehicle. So it will definitely enhance the whole tragic system. And from my point of view, like artificial intelligence, this is an example what I have driven through all the scenarios. Like forensic team expert will totally rely upon the artificial intelligence, whether the vehicle has been dodged in that particular manner, whether the driver has been jumped from that particular seat or not. So these are the speculation what we follow from that particular point of view. So we need to evolve in many aspects in the near future time, and definitely when time will surpass, then definitely we will grow, and we will tackle all the points regarding the artificial intelligence, and will smoothly go in a particular direction, and it will help and it will enhance not only the insurance industry or all the whole sector. I will tell you one example. Like I was going through the report of Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Like in Jharkhand and Odisha, more than 60% of land dispute are due to the mismatching of the land, and the land which are fraudulent in, like if people capture that particular land. So through the AI based technology, artificial intelligence based technology, the Ministry of Tribal Affairs stated or drafted a report in 2023, and they are more than 60% of that cases has been resolved in Jharkhand and Odisha. This is the big achievement, I guess. So if we move into the right direction through the artificial intelligence, I already stated it plays like a catalyst. Artificial intelligence role plays like a catalyst. So we have to utilize in such a direction, and for this we need a proper direction. We need a proper direction, and we need a proper implementation. Like people from our background will know how to work on it, how to implement on it, and how to reduce the technologies driven things, and definitely it will efficient or enhance the capabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abhinav, and I think we need to wrap it up. So we have discussed the promises and the perils of artificial intelligence, and the discussion has highlighted the stage where we are at as far as that we are moving forward, but we also need to ensure that the use of AI is unbiased. It is helping us, assisting us in our work, and the constitutional values, I feel, must remain intact. Thank you so much to my fellow panelists. Thank you for being with us. Well, we still wind up with the question, is AI an emerging legal entity? Thank you all.